gamble?
No.
Well, you gotta gamble if you're gonna win.
I'm gonna win.
Thrust it! Thrust it! Come on, thrust it!
Okay,
Tony, she's all pelvic thrust. I think she prowls.
Change your spot.
She's got it.
Good. Look at my hand.
I wonder how she got it. Nice dress.
Thanks. It's a Versace.
You got some shit to learn, dancing ain't fucking.
What's that? More wisdom? I know that.
Must be weird not having anybody come on you. Man, everybody got AIDS and shit. You know, what is it that you think you do? You fuck them without fucking them. That's what you do. Well, it ain't right.
Then what are you doing here?
I'm watching you be a prick.
Well, you ain't seen nothing yet.
You are a whore, darling. No, I'm not. We all are.
Good evening. Welcome to this week's edition of the WayBack Movies Podcast, a show where we review the best and not so best of 80s and 90s cinema, because really, fuck the 2000s. My name is Steve, and with me on this crazy journey,
Justin.
Doctor. And we're back. I can't take this seriously even a little.
No.
Yeah, we're back to cover one of the most notorious movies of the 90s.
The creme de la crap.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah. You know what, this is going to take a while. We might as well just get into it. So, yeah, we're going back, way back to September 22nd, 1995, for a little film that could, called Showgirls. So, here we are, 1995. I am 13, and you better believe I heard about this movie. At the age of 13? Fuck, yes I did.
I am 7 and did not.
Well, it was a time. This movie was the talk of the town for quite some time, and there's very good reason for it.
Hey kids, have you seen Saved by the Bell?
Yeah, that was part of it. That was definitely part of it. That was a huge,
got a little
huge
movie
thing
for you.
Yeah, that was a huge part of it, because every kid who was my age that was finding out that Jesse Spano was taking it all off, our heads exploded, plain and simple.
Also, the fact that this movie came out a year after the second Saved by the Bell film.
Yeah.
It's not like, Saved by the Bell was in her past and she's moving on. No, it's like, no, Saved by the Bell was like 6 months ago.
Ironically,
they were just getting back from Hawaii and she's getting ready to go to Vegas to take it all off.
Ironically, I would say that this was probably the peak popularity for Saved by the Bell. Because this is when it was in reruns all the time. Like, there's a handful of channels that wouldn't just air it on Saturdays. They'd air it Monday to Friday, 2 to 3 episodes a day. Saved by the Bell was in your face on a consistent basis.
That's how I watched him.
Yeah, and then, same here. Like, I can still, to this day, I have not seen a full episode of Saved by the Bell. But I watched that, the Funny or Die has that series of Zach Morris's Trash. Every episode comes up. I know everything that happens. I know every line of dialogue. I've seen every episode of Saved by the Bell easily 100 times. Like, do the math. There's only like 60 episodes or something like that. 2 episodes a day. I watched it every time. Do the math.
Yeah.
You've seen that a lot. So yeah, and then
I have
here
the
it
entire
is.
thing on DVD, movies included.
I don't yet, and it might just be because it's so not out of the realm of my brain that I'm like, I don't need to rewatch it because I still remember everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then next thing you know, here's a movie where Jesse's taking her gear off.
And
it's a 13-year-old boy. That's
you figure it out.
That's a thing you needed to have in your life. So, that being said, Showgirls, September 22nd, 1995. Directed by Paul Verhoeven, of course it was. Written by Joe Esterhaus. Produced by Alan Marshall and Charles Evans. Production company, Carolco Pictures. I can never pronounce this word. Chargers? Chargeurs? Chargers? Chargers? I don't know. And United Artists.
Might be Chargers in the U sound.
Might be. Distributed by MGM UA Distribution Company. A box office of $45 million against a budget of $37.8 million.
Do you think it's made it back since then?
Oh, fuck,
Over, like,
yes.
home video?
Fuck,
and
yes. This is one of those
probably
movies.
showings in
there
theaters.
Are definitely midnight screenings of this flick. It's, as I'll get to later, it's been released on DVD and Blu-ray 100 times.
And VHS, I'm assuming.
Absolutely. It's been around. I guarantee you this movie has made money now. But the spectacular cast, the aforementioned Elizabeth Berkley is Nomi Malone / Polly Ann Costello.
Spoilers.
Kyle MacLachlan is Zach Carey.
Oh, God.
Mr. Plastic Man himself. That dude looks like plastic. I can't help it. He does. Gina Gershon is Crystal Connors. Glenn Plummer is James Smith. Robert Davies, Al Torres. Alan Richins is Tony Moss. Gina Rivera is Molly Abrams. Lynn Tucci is Henrietta Mama Bazoom. Greg Travis is Phil Newkirk. Al Ruscio is Mr. Carlman. Patrick Burstow is Marty Jacobson. William Shockley is Andrew Carver. Dewey Weber's Jeff. Rena Riffle is Penny / Hope. She'll come up later on. Melissa Williams is Julie. Angela Brockman is Angie. And Melinda Songer is Nikki. So, the production of this film, you might be wondering, why the fuck did this happen? And I'm about to tell you why, and it's going to make perfect sense. Esterhazy came up with the idea for Showgirls while on vacation at his home in Maui, Hawaii. During lunch in Beverly Hills, Verhoeven told Esterhazy that he had always loved big MGM musicals and wanted to make one. Esterhazy suggested the setting of Las Vegas. How did we get here? Based on the idea he scribbled on a napkin, Esterhazy was advanced $2 million to write the script and picked up an additional $1.7 million when the studio produced it into a film. Here's how this happened. After the success of erotic thrillers Basic Instinct and Sliver, Verhoeven made a deal with the studio, unheard of at the time. He would get complete creative freedom to deliver an NC-17 rated movie.
That explains a lot.
Exactly, from the beginning.
Do you mean I have full creative control? Yes, Mr. Verhoeven. Haha, wonderful. Get me Jesse Spano.
yeah, literally. Because think about it. Basic Instinct and Sliver were fucking huge. They were big fucking movies, and it was nothing but sex left and right.
The difference is those movies had actual talented actors in it.
They did. And they also had things like plot and things like that. Like, Sliver is not a great movie.
No.
But you understand what's going on. It's not like this where you're like, how did we get here? And Basic Instinct is actually a great film. It's just wall-to-wall sex. It actually has the most paused moment in cinema. To the point where if you ever rented this on video...
I think she name-checked that recently.
She did.
Yeah.
Not just name-checked it, she actually uncrossed her legs once and crossed them back again.
That was like a month ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, somebody was talking about something, and they're just like, and she's just like, so what do you think about that? And she just goes, I don't know, and she uncrossed her legs and crossed them back again. And it I think she said something along the lines of, I don't know what you're talking about, and then she did that, and it's like the whole place fucking freaked out.
Terrible.
That shouldn't have happened, is what I'm thinking on that. I didn't bother watching it because I enjoyed the original. I thought it was a really clever film.
It's like Wall
and I don't
Street.
need more. Yeah, it's like you didn't need... You said everything you needed to say. You really don't
too
need
long.
more.
Anyway.
Well, that's the other thing, too, right? Yeah. So, up to that time, NC-17 rating had never been intentional and was always given after the screening of the movie by the MPAA. The deal did include that Verhoeven gave up to 70% of his $6 million salary, and he would only receive the remainder if the movie was a success. I don't know if he ever got that. No one said, because I looked it up, because I'm like you said, this movie had to have been profitable by now. Does he get that money back?
Well, this is the deal. Does it have to be profitable on its initial theatrical run, or are we talking about in perpetuity? Like, just
no kidding, I hunted for an hour to find out.
mean?
I hunted for an hour. My guess is...
Like, if it takes 20 years, I'm going to get my money.
My guess is it was probably on the initial theatrical run, I don't think.
Yeah, it's fine.
I could be wrong, though.
Paul Verhoeven has money.
Well, this kind of fucked his career, along with a lot of people.
Well, he made other films.
He did, but I don't know. Esterhazy says, I wrote Showgirls at the single most turbulent time in my life. In a 2013 interview, Verhoeven explained his motives for doing the movie. He did not like Esterhaaz's initial script and passed on the project in favor of doing Crusade, based on a screenplay by Wallen Green and starring Arnold Schwarzenegger. However, that project fell through when Carolco Pictures could not afford to finance both Crusade and Cutthroat Island. Since $10 million had already been spent on Crusade and Esterhaaz already received $4 million for his Showgirls screenplay, Verhoeven felt morally obligated to do Showgirls as a personal favor to Mario Kassar, to save Carolco from bankruptcy. How'd that go? And Carolco was, like, around for really good shit. Like, they did Terminator. So, they should have had money. But Esterhaaz's screenplay was extensively rewritten with the film All About Eve as the main source of inspiration. Sort of.
It's one of those things. Like,
yeah,
it's kind of like
there.
That's the base.
Yeah, you know? But, you do a different thing. Verhoeven intended it to be an over-the-top morality tale, populated with only amoral characters, except for the character of Molly, which is why she is punished. And it's true. She's the only nice person in this movie.
Everybody's a dick, and they all get away with it, except for the nice one, because she gets raped and beaten.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
That's great, Paul.
The reason he did this was to show that Vegas is not a nice place, and that is basically what the movie is all about, with Las Vegas as a metaphor for hypocrisy and extortion.
It's a nice place now.
Is it?
More or less. They've cleaned it up a lot.
Have they?
Since since 95
have,
and the last 25 years.
in all fairness, all of these kinds of places that are, like, known to be seedy and shit like that have all been, like,
because now they promote Vegas for families.
Yeah,
now, I mean, 95. No.
It's the same as Times Square in New York. It used to be like a seedy, horrible place. Now it's like the biggest family attraction in the world.
Any movie set in the 70s.
Yeah,
in New York.
Yeah, it's all scum and villainy. Now it's like
Mickey Mouse.
Like we have our own version of it now at Young and Dundas. It's basically what Times Square is now. Is what they did with Young and Dundas Square.
Yeah.
And they have one in Los Angeles as well. I can't remember where it is, but yeah, there's a place like that too. That's
City
just
Walk?
kind of a thing. Yes, Universal City Walk. Yeah. Esterhaaz and Verhoeven interviewed over 200 Las Vegas strippers and incorporated parts of their stories in the screenplay to show the amount of exploitation of strippers in Vegas.
Yes, tell me about your sadness.
Some of them were interviewed by magazines after the movie's premiere and completely reversed their stories, maintaining that the movie did not depict their lives accurately. However, Verhoeven is quoted as saying that this is still the most realistic movie about contemporary America that he has ever made. Well, you also made, like, RoboCop and...
yeah, but he didn't know he was actually accurate about that.
Yeah.
Detroit looks like that now, so he was correct.
It wasn't accurate at the time. Now, not so much. Now...
Well, no, what I'm saying is that's set in the future.
Yeah, that's true. That ended up being the most prophetic movie ever.
Because that's set, like, not now, but, like, what was it, 2000 and I can't remember?
I can't remember. We got to get to that movie sooner rather than later.
But you know what I mean? Like, he must have been like, oh my god, I can't believe I called all of this.
Jesus. It's like, what's his name in Idiocracy?
Yeah.
It's like, holy shit,
that only took about a decade to come true, fortunately.
The name Nomi Malone came from Joe Esterhaaz's wife's nickname. Nomi, her real name is Naomi. He chose Malone because he thought of Nomi being alone in the world.
That's deep, bro. As deep as a kiddie pool.
A little bit. The rape scene and the subsequent refusal of the Las Vegas big shots to punish those responsible is based on a real-life incident that Esterhaaz learned of while he worked for Rolling Stone magazine. There was no...
Incident? You want to put a fucking plural on that? Incidents. That probably happens.
That probably happens a lot.
Yeah.
Let's get back to the funny, for the love of God. A long list of actresses were considered for the role of Nomi Malone. And most of these would have never done this. Including Pamela Anderson.
No.
She might have. Drew Barrymore.
No.
Nope. Angelina Jolie. Maybe.
95, maybe.
Vanessa Marcil? No. Jenny McCarthy? Maybe. Denise Richards? No. Charlize Theron? No. But they all turned it down before Elizabeth Berkley, following the cancellation of Saved by the Bell, signed on to play the role.
Get me Sharon Elizabeth. We can't get you. Get me Elizabeth Berkley.
By the way, I think filming this, I could be wrong, but I think filming this is why Tori exists on Saved by the Bell. Because the Tori episodes were filmed after they'd already done...
I'm sorry, Elizabeth.
After they
come
had
back
done...
to the show.
No. After they had done the main run.
Yeah.
They did the movie. Mm-hmm. And then NBC asked him